Hey there, Matt Wicks here from SSW TV. We're here at NDC Sydney, and I'm with Jonathan Towers. Jay.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks,
How are you going?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm going pretty well. It's the end of the day, but we're getting there.
Yes.
So we were talking before about YARP.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that everyone knows about YARP. It's been around for a while. Do you want to just give us the quick
Absolutely.
TLDR?
Yeah. So it's been around just over a year and a half maybe at this point. YARP stands for Yet Another Reverse Proxy, kind of one of those funny names that software people give stuff sometimes.
Like YAML.
Like YAML, yep. Or all the GNU stuff, right? That where the G usually doesn't stand for anything. But so yet another reverse proxy, because there are other reverse proxies out there. But what the .NET team really realized a couple of years ago was they're having a lot of internal teams at Microsoft ask them if there was a reverse proxy that they could be using for certain things they wanted to use those for on their projects internally. And the answer was no. There's all these other things out there, but there's nothing .NET based that does that. And so they started building kind of an experimental project, and now it's in version 2 point something. So it's been around for a little bit.
Yeah. So why would we need another reverse proxy?
Yeah, great question. For sure, if you're doing a large enterprise scale thing, you might want to use some third-party thing. You might want to use Nginx to do your proxying. But if you're doing something where you're, say, migrating a legacy .NET application, like an ASP.NET app built on .NET Framework, to something more modern, you want to do that gradually over time. How great is it that with just a NuGet package in your modern application, that you can now run your proxy rules and configure it all and deploy it all inside of that modern application?
That sounds pretty good. I feel a bit ripped off. I'm used to, you lock the developers in a room, you shove some pizza under the door, and pretty soon you've got an app coming out the other side.
Right, that's right.
I miss the pizza.
Yeah, or a lawsuit maybe from your developers, right? Yeah. Yeah, sometimes that can work, to lock everybody in a room and get something small done. But when you're talking about something that you've been building for the last 3, 5, 10 years on .NET Framework, that's a lot of business logic to migrate in a weekend. And so having the team be able to do that gradually over time is really important. And something like a reverse proxy like YARP can be really powerful for that, because it can basically sit in front of your two applications, your legacy and your modern application, and it can gradually switch traffic over as new endpoints become available in the modern application, switch them from the legacy application over to that. And now you're doing much more agile releases, not so much of a waterfall process.
Cool.
Yeah.
And can I hook the reverse proxy logic to a feature flag or something like that, so in case things go wrong, I don't have to redeploy everything?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of different ways that people are using YARP. In fact, reverse proxies in general are used for a lot of different things. What you're talking about with feature flags is definitely one of them. A/B testing is another really popular thing. Even load balancing, which, do you really need to reinvent load balancing? Well, probably not. But if you have some very specific use or some very specific logic for how the load balancing needs to work in your application, well, then maybe that makes sense for you. You can write C# code. You can deploy essentially just a web application, and it'll act as a reverse proxy for whatever you need it to, based on whatever configuration or logic that you put into it.
So I may not be migrating from .NET to .NET. I may be migrating from
That's right.
something like a Perl application.
Yeah, it's all HTTP based because it's a proxy server. And so if what you have or if what you want to have talk HTTP, then great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Are there any other sort of use cases for this apart from migrations?
Yeah, I mean, migrations is kind of I would say it's the default or the main one that Microsoft seems to have in mind. But some of the ones that we just mentioned with A/B testing is really useful. That's one that I've seen in the wild. And so, for example, let's say you create a new feature and you're not sure if the business logic is going to be something that your end users like better, or maybe is it going to perform better or worse than it did before. Well, you can switch that on for a small percentage, let's say. Maybe 10% of your users are going to get that new endpoint. You can see how it performs under that load, and then gradually sort of add traffic to it over time, or pull the switch and put it back to how it was before very easily without redeploying.
So I want to get into YARP. How do I get started on using it? Is there anything I have to do?
Yeah, it's actually really easy. So if you've already got, let's say you're going to do a legacy migration, if you get an extension in Visual Studio that's called the .NET Upgrade Assistant, or if you're a .NET CLI person, there's an extension for that as well. And that will allow you to automatically set up your project so that YARP is in it. So if you have a web application that's built on .NET Framework, you can basically point that tool at it and say, I want to upgrade this project. It'll set up a new modern project for you. It'll configure YARP and everything for you. It's a really great way to get started. Now, a lot of people would say, I don't need that after the first time. But, the first time it's really nice to know how to configure everything correctly out of the box.
So the way you're describing it, it sounds like it's just a piece of middleware.
It's totally a piece of middleware. In fact, it's just a NuGet package that gets downloaded into your project and runs in the pipeline. So it's super simple.
Awesome. So thank you, Jay. It's been great talking to you about YARP and project migrations and all the things in between. This is Matt from SSW TV signing off. Thanks.